Okay, let's see if we can make this apply piston come out the old-fashioned way. You got a good angle there?
Yep.
There it goes. Hit something solid, like a concrete floor. Now, there's an O-ring that seals against here for the apply piston, okay? And there's one more piston to compress, and that would be for the 3.5R clutches that were out here. That's what this piece was reaching into. Or was it reaching into this piece? I might edit that out. Yeah, that's right. This would be for the 1, 2, 3, 4 apply piston, or this is the apply piston for the 3.5R. That's why this sits down in there, because that piston will reach up. Okay, let's try to compress these. My same little press. I hope it's big enough. Oof, it was so close. There. Back this off. Alrighty. Maybe we'll bang this one out too. Okay. And there is the 3.5R plug there, or O-ring, or that seal. It's actually a D-ring. It's flat. It's not round. It's got a flat side. This too is a D-ring. It's flat. And same here. Alrighty. So this is where we say rebuild this drum. Okay. Take care of all this seals. Clean this drum up. Get it all looking nice. And we'll reassemble this complete drum assembly, set it aside, and do the next drum. Oh, there is one more piston in here. There's one more piston. Okay. There it is. There's the actual apply piston for the 3.5R. Once again, it's got a seal there. And whoops, let's keep it in the groove. We're just going to go back together. But in a rebuild, you'd change all of these seals. And there's seals. If you can get this or not. See that seal there? It just kind of popped out. Okay. Without this seal, you won't have a hydraulic seal for that piston to work. Okay. There are two others. Okay. And again, you can't neglect these. Now that one there is flat. Okay. He's flat. He's not an O-ring. He's a D-ring. And we'll get him back in his little spot. And there's another O-ring toward the very, very bottom. I should call it a seal. Piston seal. It's round. So it looks like these, the one on the bigger part of the hub is round, the very bottom one's round, and this one's a D-ring, the one that's halfway up. Of course, these other grooves are there for the snap rings to keep the pistons all located. Okay, let's just keep going, and let's go ahead and reassemble. So, here's the very bottom, or apply piston, okay? It's the big guy, and if this O-ring in here will cooperate. It might be so old and lost some of its shape, it might get in our way. Let's find out. Let's see if we can't get it to pop in. Yep, popped in, and I can even hopefully be able to rotate it. Yes, I can rotate it. That means the seals aren't bound. That's a good sign. Let's see. The next piece. Okay, here's the balance piston. Now it doesn't go in very far because it's pushing against the return spring, the Belleville spring. So we'll just kind of get it seated. It kind of just starts. It's about all the more it's going to go. We'll use a compressor and get the snap ring in place. And again, you know the role here. So I'm going to stop the video because we're just going to compress this and put the snap ring in place. Okay, we got the snap ring in place for the 3/5R clutch. Now the 1, 2, 3, 4 apply clutch. Piston, sorry. Apply piston. Return spring for the balance piston. Put the balance piston, and I actually had it upside down. So this piston actually kind of curves down, steps down. That's probably the best way to say it. Steps down, then compresses, put your snap ring on. Let's move on with putting the clutches in. So I'm going to find the master spline. Okay? All these have grooves in them, right? Here's my master spline. I'm going to put the wavy in first. I don't think it really matters where it goes. I'm just going to have things either side of the master spline. How's that? And a steel goes next. Once again, I'm either side of the master spline because that's where my opening of the snap ring is going to be. Come on, here we go. Getting things to line up here, so it's kind of fun. Okay, here's the pressure plate. I'm going to put this side down. That looks like it's been having clutch right against it. That looks like a snap ring wear mark. So, or indent. Okay, master spline. Yep, there we go. And I'll put this in. You remember how I pointed out this master spline? There's actually two master splines on this drum. This master spline is for the other set of clutches, the 3/5R. The 1, 2, 3, 4 clutches has its own master spline 180 degrees on the other side. Yes, there's a groove up here, but look at the second grooves down here. By not getting the snap ring in right, and again observing where that master spline is, the snap ring just won't pop into its right place, its rightful place. And just a moment ago, I'd left the pressure plate out for instruction purposes to identify the master spline. I got the pressure plate in, the snap ring's in. Let's see what the clutch clearance is between, say the pressure plate and the first friction disc. And I'm trying 67 thousandths. Specification is somewhere around 60 to 82 thousandths. So I've got to kind of wiggle it, move it around without trying to scratch a clutch plate up. And there we go, I'm in. And I've got some drag. When I tried a 60 or 61 earlier, it was just too loose. But this 67 thousandths, I've got some drag. It's probably 67, maybe 68. So it should have some drag to it. Okay, I like that. Okay, now we'll need to have all the steel plates lined up in a fashion that will enable this apply piece to line up. Okay? So, once that's in place, we can now put in the 3/5R clutch. Wavy, okay? The wavy is first. I'll flip this over. You gotta have a steel, okay? Of course, a friction, steel, another friction is about 59 to 82 thousandths as well. Now the master spline. I'll pull this out and find the master spline easier. There's the master spline, right here. And again, that's where the ends of the snap ring have got to end up. Either side of it. Make sure things are seated in place. And again, this will check my clearance with a feeler gauge. Okay. Okay. 3/5R, 1, 2, 3, 4 drum is back together. The 4, 5, 6 clutch is no different than anything we've already discussed. You got a snap ring, you got clutches, you got a thing to compress to remove this snap ring. I'm not going to go through it. There's Planet. This is the simple, or I'm sorry, yeah, simple, the forward Planet. This is toward the front end of the transmission, basically. You'd clean this up if you ever did have any stripped out gears. I guess you'd replace this drum. And here's the Planet assembly. Oh, there's a thrust washer down in here. And that's for this. This portion right here rides against that. Okay? That's later on. Actually, no. Take that back. This thrust bearing here, get us to drop in, is for that sun gear. This sun gear can go on either direction. Come on, there we go. So let's say that's all completed and done. Let's now turn our attention to this center support. Okay, so to begin with, the 2/6 clutch. It's the bigger one. Okay. There's the 2/6 clutch. Okay. There's a snap ring out here that needs to be removed. Okay. I'll use my special screwdriver. Anyway, you would pull this snap ring out, remove this Belleville spring or return spring, and this piston slides out. Put it back together, you put the piston in, put the Belleville facing down, okay, pointing down, whatever. It's not got a lot of pressure on it. You might have to get a screwdriver in here and try to just like push that snap ring into the teeth. I really don't want to go for that kind of effort and time because it's really that simple. It's really that simple. It's this snap ring. Yes, it'll take a little doing to get that back in there, but a wide blade screwdriver will push that snap ring into the teeth where they belong. Okay. Let's go ahead, talk about this side. Now, I've already removed the low reverse clutch. This came out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, the pressure plate would make 6. So, again, it's got a cushion or a wavy, and it's got the frictions and steels. And the clearance on 60 thousandths, apparently there's not a real clear specification, but a lot of them come in that have very little wear, somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 thousandths of an inch. So, okay. What we want to get down to, and this is different from the other assemblies, is there is a one-way sprag clutch in here, all right? So it locks one way and freewheels the other. And you don't want to put it in backwards like any other sprag or roller one-way clutch, okay? So when I'm looking at it, this turns clockwise freely. Clockwise, it locks, turns the whole drum, okay? So let's compress this. And I'm going to take off this inner snap ring. Opening, I believe, is there. Trying to make sure I'm all balanced. Now, to compress this, you want to press it on this wide silver area, not out here, not on this outer snap ring. There's also an inner snap ring. You want to be out here in this region here. That's the only place you can compress. There's a return spring that we're trying to, of course, compress and get this inside snap ring out. And you have to make just, whoops, I'm touching that snap ring. There we go. Now I'm off of it. I was touching over there. Okay. Get that a little better. Okay. I don't have to compress it too far. A little wider jaw. Let's just start all over. There we go. Back this off. Okay. The sprag is inside this assembly. Here's the return spring. There's a piston in here. This usually doesn't come out too awfully hard. There it goes. So here's a molded piston. I would likely change that in a real rebuild. There is a big thick O-ring. I mean, it's a heavy-duty, thick one. Big O-ring there. Okay, lube this up with some tranny fluid. Pop it back in place. Go any further, let's look inside at this sprag. And a little snap ring here. This would be an item to change out, the bearing that's inside here. There's a little brass organizer or retainer. Guess we'll have to pull it off right now. But this gear slides right off. Here we go. I'll probably go this direction with it. When we drop it in, we're going to rotate it clockwise. Because counterclockwise, it locks. I got this upside down, if you remember. Okay. And there's the sprag element. Okay. And this comes in a piece. This comes in a package, and you put a new sprag in. Once again, you want to have it in the right direction. It's got to go in kind of equal. Keep this going the right direction as well. Put that retainer back on. It comes, the new bearing will come with new, or the new sprag, one-way clutch will come with a new brass retainer. There's one on either side of the sprag. And here is the cover. And we can now just simply return the, oops. All right, we've got to have this stay down. And to do that, we'll suspend it. Okay. If I suspend it, I can put this in successfully. Okay. All right. There's the sprag. Let's go ahead and put this back together. There is a master spline here. See that? And we got to match it up right here. There's an empty tooth. That's where the master spline goes. Not sure why it had to be that way, but that's how they made it. Of course, I can't put the snap ring on until I got some pressure deflecting the return spring. We'll see if that helps. Let's stay here with the low reverse clutch. I got it all in right and free counterclockwise, right? A good thing to check. All right. Here's my wavy. In first. Steel. Get on there. There we go. Pressure plate, flat side down. There's no master spline. It's snapped in. I guess to check the clearance on this clutch, you'd do it with the hub out of there, put the clutches in, check your clearance. Pull the clutches out, put this hub and one-way sprag in, okay, and then stack your clutches. So that's how you would, yeah, we got some freedom of movement there. That's good. And I think the clutch clearance on this one here, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. Probably have a snap ring covering that. That open windows, you can see all the clutches. You probably have a snap ring covering that. All right. The 2/6 clutch. Again, this is the one we had to walk in that snap ring, push it in there with our screwdriver. Okay. The 2/6 clutch, wavy. Once again, you never put a wavy against a friction. You should always have a flat steel against it. So if you see a wavy, you put the wavy in, then a steel, and then start the alternating pattern of friction, steel, friction, steel. Okay. The 2/6 is, make sure we're in. Okay, so I've got 51 right there, and that will easily probably go in. Oh, easily. I'm going to add 15 to it. I could probably get a little bit more in there. So let's get, let's see, 20 and 51 makes 71. That's quite a jump. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, God, 70 works good. It's pretty close to 70 if I was to guess. 70, 71, maybe 72. That's got some drag to it. Okay. There is the center support clutches with the one-way clutch. I'll need to tack this thrust bearing in place for reassembly into the transmission case.